Sports, ladies and gentlemen, are more than just games. They're a reflection of society's biggest debates. We're talking about the very fabric of our culture, the values we hold dear, and the controversies that divide us. And let me tell you something, there's no shortage of those in the world of sports. Today, we're diving headfirst into the most controversial topics, the ones that spark passionate discussions among fans, athletes, and stakeholders alike. We're talking about the issues that make you think, that make you feel, and that sometimes, let's be honest, make you want to pull your hair out. Sports are more than just games, they're a reflection of society's biggest debates. Today we're diving into the most controversial topics in sports that spark passionate discussions among fans, athletes, and stakeholders. First up, we're tackling the elephant in the room, the issue that's been plaguing sports for decades: performance-enhancing drugs. Now, some people will tell you it's simple, a clear violation of the rules, plain and simple. And they're not wrong. But let's dig a little deeper, folks. We're talking about the ethical implications, the questions of fairness, and the long-term health risks that these athletes are willing to take. Is it ever okay to sacrifice your health, your integrity, for a shot at glory? Next up, we're addressing a topic that's long overdue for a serious conversation: gender equality in sports. Let's be real, folks, for too long, women in sports have been fighting an uphill battle for equal pay, equal opportunities, and equal respect. We're talking about disparities in salaries, endorsements, and media coverage that are simply inexcusable. It's 2023, people. It's high time we break down these barriers and give these incredible athletes the recognition and compensation they deserve. Now let's talk about the age-old debate: professionalism versus amateurism. On the one hand, you have the purity of competition, the love of the game, and the camaraderie that comes with playing for the love of it. But on the other hand, you have the reality that these athletes are putting in countless hours, sacrificing their bodies, and generating millions of dollars for their schools and organizations. So, where do we draw the line? When does the pursuit of a paycheck undermine the integrity of the game? Chapter 4. Tech in sports. Improving the game or ruining it. Let's be real, technology has revolutionized the way we watch and experience sports. But it's also brought its fair share of controversy. We're talking about things like VAR in soccer, instant replay in basketball, and the increasing use of data analytics in decision-making. Now, some argue that these advancements are necessary to ensure fairness and accuracy in officiating. But others worry that they're slowing down the game, taking away from the human element, and creating more problems than they solve. Chapter 5. Violent sports. How much is too much? Let's talk about the elephant in the room, folks: violence in sports. Football, hockey, rugby. These are sports that are inherently physical, where collisions are part of the game. But when does that physicality cross the line? When does it become dangerous, even life-altering? We've seen the devastating effects of concussions and head trauma, and we need to have a serious conversation about player safety. Chapter 6. Racism in sports. It's not over until it's over. Next up, we're tackling an issue that's bigger than sports, an issue that permeates every aspect of our society: racism. From racist chants and gestures from fans, to discriminatory practices in hiring and promotion, to the lack of diversity in ownership and leadership positions, it's clear that we still have a long way to go. Chapter 7. The environmental cost of the big game. Let's be real, folks, hosting major sporting events is a huge undertaking. We're talking about massive stadiums, hordes of fans traveling from all over the world, and a whole lot of waste. So it's more important than ever to consider the environmental impact of these events. We're talking about carbon emissions, water usage, and the strain on local resources. Chapter 8. Youth sports. Where did the joy go? Let's talk about the kids, folks. Youth sports are supposed to be about fun, teamwork, and developing a love for the game. But somewhere along the way, it feels like we've lost sight of that. The pressure to win, the emphasis on specialization, and the year-round training schedules have created an environment that can be incredibly intense, and even detrimental to young athletes' physical and mental health. Chapter 9. Cultural appropriation is your mascot offensive. And finally, let's talk about a topic that's been generating a lot of heat lately: cultural appropriation in sports. We're talking about team names, logos, and mascots that are based on Native American imagery and stereotypes. Now, some people argue that these are harmless traditions, meant to honor and respect indigenous cultures. But others, particularly members of those communities, find them to be deeply offensive and harmful. Outro, what do you think? So there you have it, folks, just a taste of the hot-button issues that are shaping the world of sports. These topics are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the debates that shape the world of sports. We've covered a lot of ground today, but believe me, we've only just scratched the surface. These conversations are ongoing, they're evolving, and they're essential to creating a more just, equitable, and sustainable future for sports. What are your thoughts? Join the conversation and let us know in the comments below.